lots of kids my age next year will be going off to college and will work really hard for 4 years to earn a degree, to earn our diploma. Now say the college decides not to grant us our diploma for 28 years. Even if that has no impact on us at all, even if with the lack of diploma we can still get a job, we still have a great life, we have earned the diploma and so we deserve it. This goes with our point about Jackson Vanek. They have earned it. The question is, we have the economic bonuses, we have relation bonuses, but the significant point here, Judge, is they have earned graduation on this specific issue. Moving on to the first point, which we're talking about the economy. First of all, I would like to read one piece of evidence about the U.S. companies. It says major U.S. companies work to get Jackson Vanek graduated. This is a statement by Prime Minister Putin, 2010. It says, quote, in 2006, Chevron, along with other major American companies such as Boeing and our other partners, set up a special group to support in the final elimination of archaic barriers to our cooperation, such as the Jackson Vanek Amendment. I am absolutely convinced that these archaic schemes and barriers which were created during a previous era of international relations are serious impediments to our business relations. End quote. What do we see from this? Jackson Vanek does have a specific, significant impact on trade. Why? U.S. companies do not care about politics. They care about money. And they know about this because they are the players on the field. They are the ones who are experiencing the restrictions. They are the ones who are experiencing the lack of benefits. They know. Why else would they be advocating to graduate from Jackson Vanek? There's no other reason except that it impacts trade, and it negatively impacts trade. One of their points was about alternate causes. And yes, there are many different causes. All issues like this are extremely complex. Do we know Jackson Vanek is a cause? Yes. Do we know it is an important cause? Yes. These are important points. So to fix the problem, you have to start somewhere, starting with Jackson Vanek. It's an overall problem that hinders trade. We have shown American companies do not want it. It's an important problem. Anders and Kuchins in the International Economic Integration and Trade Policy Investment, published by the Peterson Institute for International Economics, 2009. It says, quote, for U.S. companies, the overriding concerns are the Jackson Vanek Amendment and the granting of PNTR with Russia. Without repeal or graduation of the Jackson Vanek Amendment, U.S. companies are at a disadvantage to their European and Asian competitors. Congress will have to vote to release Russia from Jackson Vanek. A failure to do so would limit access of U.S. companies to a growing, emerging market. This is an overriding concern to U.S. businesses. It impacts trade. It is a serious impediment. This is an important point under economy. And they also brought up in the alternate causes, they brought up corruption. Yes, corruption is in Russia. There's lots of corruption everywhere, so it's really not unique. But also, you can account for bribes. Businesses can factor that in. They cannot factor in, however, the uncertainty of a lack of permanent normal trade relations. They cannot factor that in. They do not know if it's going to be waived every year. They can account for bribes. They cannot account for this uncertainty. Another point they brought up was about the hostile environment, the hostile business environment. Big mystery. I wonder why it's so hostile. Maybe because we're keeping them under an amendment which they have fully complied with. I don't know. Maybe that could be the reason there. So, that is another point. My last and final point here is even if it has no economic benefits at all, even if the negative team is completely right and there is not a single economic benefit, guess what? Russia still deserves graduation. Moving on to relations. First of all, I have 2 points here. First of all, this is a bonus. Like economic trade, we need this. Like economic trade, it's just a bonus that we get from doing the right thing. Relations are built on trust. This is how we build our relationships. We need to show we can keep our word. This is how we build our relationships. Moving on to moral obligations. The negative team brought up the point that we need other countries. Other countries deserve it too, so we need to graduate them all. Otherwise, we're being inconsistent, not fair. But, Judge, this is how we do government policy. We don't get together and say, okay, let's graduate everybody. Let's have one big vote. We look at it country by country. That's how government policy works. So we're not saying other countries shouldn't. We're saying Russia should. A turn on this is it will actually, our whole case is about consistency. This point reinforces our point. Keeping your word is consistent. This shows that we will keep our word, that we're credible. that we are consistent with what we said we would do. We said we would graduate Russia. We look at the actual amendment, which I'll read in a few moments. We said we would graduate them if they comply with these specific things. Have they complied? Yes. 3 consecutive presidents have affirmed their compliance. And so, we have a moral obligation to graduate them. That isn't inconsistent. That is the point of our case, is consistency. That's just another reason to vote affirmative. They also brought up a disadvantage about human rights, like that Russia was, that this would send a bad message of human rights. We don't care about human rights anymore to Russia. First of all, let's look at the words of the actual amendment. It says, actions of a non-market economy country, making them ineligible for normal trade relations, programs of credit guarantees, or investment guarantees, or commercial guarantees. This is what happens. They don't get permanent normal trade relations status if 1, it denies citizens the right or opportunity to emigrate, 2, imposes more than a nominal tax on immigration, 3, imposes more than a nominal tax, fine, fee, or any other charge on any citizen as a consequence of the desire of the citizen to emigrate from the country of his choice. It doesn't matter. It's symbolically, that means that we're supposed to take care of all human rights. It doesn't matter. The amendment says if those things happen, they don't get permanent normal trade relations. Well, guess what? They have complied. They fulfilled it. It doesn't matter what it has symbolically come to represent, because the words of the amendment support the fact that it was a specific sanction for a special human rights abuse, and that we need to graduate them because they have complied. So was it originally about human rights? Was the spirit of the law about human rights? Yes, but about a specific instance. A specific instance because it was a post-Soviet era, they were not allowing Jews to emigrate. A specific instance of human rights. Are you serious? We are in no way trying to do this amendment is not supposed to take care of all the human rights issues of the entire country of Russia. One specific issue. They have complied with that issue. Now it's our job. We need to graduate them. A turn on this. It will reinforce the importance of human rights when we graduate them and for their compliance on immigration. It will reinforce the importance. It says, yes, you allowed that human right, so we graduate you. You allowed it, and so you now can have permanent, normal trade relations status. It reinforces the importance of this. So before today, Judge, we have an opportunity. We can remove an outdated, ineffective piece of legislation that no longer applies. We can stabilize relations and increase trade as benefits. But more importantly, we have a moral obligation to do this. They have complied. The spirit of the amendment was about human rights, about specific human rights. They have fulfilled the spirit of the amendment by fulfilling that specific issue. So now, what happens? We have a moral obligation to fulfill our end of the bargain and graduate Russia. Thank you.
Ready? All right. Let's just take, for example, pretend there is a son and a mother and a daughter, okay?
Okay.
And the brother hits his sister, okay?
Okay.
And the mother grounds the brother, right? Until he cleans his room, okay?
Okay.
If he cleans his room and then he hits his sister again, would you still say that's a problem?
It'd be a problem, but the mother should, if he cleans his room, then
Even if he hits his sister, okay?
then he needs to do a different punishment because he has fulfilled the original
All
purpose.
right. Now, moving on to the point, now, did you ever address our counter goal in your last speech?
I did not.
You did not, okay. So would you agree that human rights does supersede relations and economy?
No, I still think we have to take every issue. I think human rights is really important. Yeah,
Okay,
we need
but
to look at that, but we also need to look at everything else that we've been talking about the whole time. Economy. That's important. Does it relate to human rights? Not necessarily. So yeah.
But you did say it, but you did not,
I did not just discuss it specifically.
All right, thank you. Now, moving on to your responses on the economy, and I believe at one point you did say that it's uncertainty, the uncertainty about what is there. Now, didn't the piece of evidence state that there are Soviet laws still in place?
What piece of evidence are you referring to?
My third response in my 1NC.
I believe it did.
It did say that Soviet laws are still in place. Now, did you read any evidence these Soviet laws are still in place because of Jackson-Vanik?
I did not.
You did not, okay. Now, moving on to the point, you were saying that relations is just a bonus and the relations built on trust. But did you read any specific evidence showing how graduating Jackson-Vanik will impact our relations to do a certain something?
to specifically do something?
Well, did you show how it was like we actually gained something from it?
Well, that's not our point. We're not trying to do this for a benefit. We're saying this is an overall issue. Fundamentally, it will affect it because we're building trust. Are we doing this so we can get help for this issue, so we can do that? No, we're doing it because it's the right thing to do, and it builds trust.
Okay, and actually, I'm sorry, I forgot about this question about on the economy. Now, you're saying that, businesses don't really know whether they're going to be permanent or not, right? That's why they don't invest in it.
They know it's not permanent because it's temporary.
How many years have we given Russia a waiver?
Giving them waivers for temporary? I think it's about 17 years.
Have we ever not given them a waiver?
We have not, but Congress several times has tried to.
All right, now let's look at the next point on basically moral obligation now.
Okay.
To have the other countries are wavered every year, correct? The other countries are wavered every year.
Under Jackson Banning?
Yes.
Except for Cuba and North Korea, which are still
but they are wavered. Okay.
No, not Cuba and North Korea.
Oh,
some of the other ones.
I understand.
Okay.
Do we have an obligation to keep our word to those other countries?
We do.
We do? Okay. No further questions, thanks.